Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news.
Hey! Sorry, that's a bit of a wind up there. Kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chewy, how are you?
Kia ora, Pat. I'm doing all right.
My,
I'm doing all right. It is the end of my real work week, so
right.
I've got a great big mug of tea because I know how to party.
Oh, I realise I haven't done setup with you on the sounds of the vehicle, so we'll do a little tester now. But the little tester might have some relevance for tonight's show as well. If I just say this.
We want a government that cares about how every single dollar is spent.
Yep.
Because every single dollar the government spends is ultimately a dollar from your pocket.
I take it that the audio was working through your side then as well.
Yes, no, I heard that. I think it was some feeble person shitting themselves to death. Was that what that audio was from?
I don't know. We have to check with Sonny Cashel because remember, he's so far up Luxon's ass, he'll know if he's shitting or not. Anyway.
He'll know what's going on.
He'll know what's going on. Hey team, great to be with you. A big old show tonight. There's quite a bit going on beyond sort of the headlines as well. We haven't told you that Tangi Utikiri is going to be joining us. He is going to be joining us because we will hook that up sort of after the show had been put together. So Tangi's in the waiting room right now. He will be joining us in a second to talk about the local body government hui, and also TV3 did a really nice piece tonight actually. And it was both cost of living and the local body in sort of one story. So we'll talk to Tangi about both of those things and anything else that gets up, like, you know, what's the best hair product, Tangi, because he's got a good style going on tonight. I've already seen that, so we'll check that as well. Hey, but before we go, whānau, it's Thursday night, and always on Thursday night we do have a little bit of a family meeting, a whānau hui, you might say. We thought we'd let you know a couple of things that have happened. All right, the first thing is, you've probably been aware of this, the website or the YouTube channel is now officially changed. The whole Doc Studio thing is so late 1990s, we thought we'd get rid of it. So the YouTube channel is now officially the Big Hairy Network. And as you can see, if you're watching us, under the Big Hairy Network is some of the older podcasts that are still here, but the current ones as well. Let's Talk Funny, the New Zealand Leftist Collective, BHN, Locked Out with Craig Rennie, The Frontline with Dr. Gary Panda, the Department of Conversation, which was one that it may come back, and Elephant TV. So that's changed, right? And you can see all that. That's definitely who we are now. And I see that the algorithms, or at least the back ends of the YouTube has changed as well, because for a long time when you search for us, we still came up in the Ds, down here in the Ds, the DOC, but now we're up in the Bs. So it's whatever's needs to happen in the back end is already happened. The other thing to let you know about is this. We're officially online at bhn.nz. So the website is up and running. Although it is like a very basic version 1.0. When we talked about this last Thursday, and I said that someone who had said they'd give us some time ended up disappearing, and I genuinely hope because they put quite a bit of time into it, I hope that there's nothing wrong. And I've had an email from a developer, Yoan, and in the space of 2 or 3 days, he got a very simple, very basic site up for us. It's almost like a more advanced link tree, because if you jump on any of the other ones, it basically just says, here's how to find Craig Rennie on YouTube, or here's how to find Gary Payendas on YouTube. Obviously, Yoan has helped us out and got us up and running, and has now gone on holiday for 2 weeks. Bless him. So in 2 weeks' time, we will start to mold and shape and change it around a bit, and turn it into what it's going to be. But we're online, www.bhn.nz, which therefore means forevermore mail at bhn.nz is now the email address. That Gmail one still works. In fact, the mail at just gets redirected to the Gmail. But forevermore and forevermore or something, the email is going to now be mail at bhn.nz. And of course, the website is that. Like I said, it's a very simple version. Like if you go to the shop, it doesn't actually go to the shop. It gives you a link to go to the shop. But it's up and it's running and it's going and it's working. So, woo! 3 years. 3 years. So go and check it out. And hey, look, the other thing, team, is if you've got any ideas, oh, good. She's got two Ubers. My 19-year-old using my Uber account tonight. There's a second one. If you've got any ideas for what, like I want to see, I want to have a space where we can do writing, like blogging and that kind of stuff on there. That will be on there. So that one's already, that's going to happen. And if you've got any ideas for what you want to see on there and what would be useful, then let us know. What it's going to be is a hub for all the stuff that we are making or we are associated with making. So, yeah. Kapai, thanks for all the help. And we're up and running. Anything else, Chewie?
And look, this is a really important step in the growth of a news network. In fact, I believe the next step is that we get those flak jackets with press written on them. And then I can start doing live call-ins from places that look like deserts.
Live call-ins, just to blimmin', I don't know what you call it, divert the show before we even start. Live call-ins from like Ray Chung's meeting last night. Ray Chung's meeting last night.
Oh, that seems to be going very well.
Yeah, where maybe a flak jacket would have been needed. And of course, all the same.
Wow.
All the same players this morning. Oh, this is political. And it's like, yeah.
It's literally politics.
Literally.
Welcome.
But when we get you that flak jacket, Chewie, we'll send you off to all the big events, whether it's Ray Chung or whether it's, man, I hate it when I lose a name. It would have sounded so much better if I knew about that guy that rang the meetings all over New Zealand and he was kicking out.
Julian Batchelor.
Batchelor. See, it would have been better if I'd remembered his name, but he's that unmemorable that I didn't.
Can you imagine, obviously, as we're members of the press council, we can go to press conferences and stuff, that you just turn up in a flak jacket and helmet with press written on it, no matter whether there's any element of risk or danger anyway?
That would be fucking hilarious, mate. We should totally look at doing that. The only problem is it'd be really hot. Like I was thinking we could do that at Waitangi, and I went, actually, no, that might send the wrong signal, and it would be really hot. But certainly the Beehive, going into the Beehive with a flak jacket on and a helmet, that just sounds right up my fucking alley,
National Party annual conference. Yeah. That'd be the place.
Okay. All right. Throw it down. We'll see what happens. Right. Let's stop arsing around. We said we'll be back to Tangi in 2 minutes, and it's been 8. So we'll see if he's still there. I want to welcome to the show from the Labour Party, Tangi Utakiri. Tangi, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, tēnā kōrua. Good to be with you tonight, guys.
What do you reckon? Flak jacket and helmet to go to a press conference? You down for that?
Look, I think you guys wouldn't have any problems getting accreditation from the press gallery at Parliament. I mean, I'm sure Jerry will just sign that off straight away.
Well, we're already press council accredited, so we can go anywhere if we wanted to. Hey, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thanks for the late call up. Basically, you are the local government spokesperson for Labour, correct?
I am.
Is that the right title? I know what you are. I can never remember the titles you guys give yourselves. You're the dude who's responsible for talking about local government, yeah?
That's right. Councils, local boards, that's me.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, well, thanks for joining us tonight because we had Tory Whānau on last night, who was at day one of the conference when the Bish spoke and the Prime Minister spoke via video. But you were there today to hear the magnetic, dulcet tones of one David Seymour. we would like to play a bit of video. TV3 did a really good compilation here. They're actually talking about the cost of living. And then amongst that, they're also talking about local body, because it's actually, you know, the cost of living and the local body are quite intertwined, because if rates aren't going up, or if rates are going up, or if rates are going to stay where they are, but then as Chippy said today, well, that means your rubbish may be more expensive, because if rates are staying where they are, they won't be able to afford to offer money to the companies to pick up your rubbish, so you'll be paying 100% of it. So I think TV3 did quite a good bit on this. So if everyone's all good, I think we'll just watch this through, maybe comment on the way through it as well, and then we'll get your take about today and anything else you want to throw at us, Tangi. So here we go. TV3 tonight, Sam Hayes talking about the cost of living and about the hui today around local government, local body politics.
New data out today shows the inflation battle is far from over. Food prices were up 4.6% in the year to June.
They've got the arrow the wrong way around, Chewy, because remember, National was dealing with the cost of living, and the arrow should be down 4.6%, shouldn't it? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? But someone in graphics is going to be fired tomorrow by getting their arrow the wrong way around.
Following a 4.4% rise in May. It is the 8th month in a row that food prices have gone up, and it's being driven by dairy products. The average price of a 1 kilogram block of cheese was $13. That's up 30% on last year. While the price of a block of butter, half a kilogram, shot up 46.5% to $8.60. As political correspondent Zane Small reports, it coincides with a rise of nearly 20,000 people receiving the JobSeeker benefit.
The local government conference in Christchurch graced by the Deputy Prime Minister, who delivered a not-so-graceful message to councils.
Hey, Chewy, you are and have done stand-up comedy. What you get from these comments from Mr. Seymour and Tangi at the end of the clip, you're welcome to comment on it, is, you know, when people, like, I thought about it this way today, maybe this is because of my issue, when like a really skinny fit person goes, oh man, put on a bit of weight last week, and they've like put on half a kilo and they're looking fit in this trailer. You know, when people make a joke or a comment and you just look at them and you go, you are not reading the room right now. It feels like the comments and the jokes he makes during this, going down the back of the couch looking for coins with Nicola, really doesn't read the room and just comes across as smug, smarmy, asshole-ish, like used car salesman vibes. It's really, really weird. Tangi, actually, just in a sentence or two, is that the vibe of the whole speech you guys got, or have I misread it based on media bias?
No, look, I mean, I think you're spot on in terms of the vibe that was there. For those at the sector, were not that happy with what Mr. Seymour had said.
I think it's interesting, Pat, that you say that he can't read the room. He's not talking to that room.
Yeah, it's true. That's where
he's talking to our base, the guys that are going to watch the clip, that is probably captioned, David Seymour owns woke councils, or some sort of bullshit like that. It's very clear that David Seymour thinks he's funny.
Yeah, but he's not. We'll show you some evidence of that, shall we?
Councils.
It's certainly true that everyone's angry at you. It's certainly true that 12.2% is a very steep rate rise that many people cannot afford.
So the government is looking at capping rates. But the opposition advises, be careful.
There's a real risk that if the government caps council rates without being clear on how else they can fund the things they need to do, that residents will actually just end up paying in other ways. So the cost of your rubbish collection will go up, for example, because council will pull its subsidies for rubbish collection because they can't afford it anymore. So there's a real potential that households will end up worse off.
Figures out today give insight into the financial pressure households are already under. Food prices were up 4.6% in the year to June, following a 4.4% rise in May. It's the 8th month in a row that annual food costs have gone up, and it's been driven by dairy products.
$8.19 for 500 grams, half a kg of butter, is insane.
A lot of it is due to international supply conditions for various items. We've seen it, of course, in dairy and meat prices particularly, which New Zealand exports, and we tend to pay the international price.
Cost of living is the main.
We do want to talk about that, Tangi, the international pricing. I've put a note down for it because it does feel like there are things that a government with a willing attitude may be able to help out in that a little bit. We'll talk to you about that at the end as well.
Issue for New Zealanders at the moment. So it's continuing to hurt them, and there's no reprieve from the government, despite the fact that they campaigned heavily on addressing the cost of living issues.
Labor let inflation get to 7.3% and stay out of target band for 3 years.
Remember as well, Chewie, that's a terrible freeze frame, by the way, but remember again, this is one of those examples where Nicola Willis is not going to, as you say, address the why, in other words, COVID, international pressures. But these are the same guys who about 2 weeks ago went, oh, international pressures, uncontrollable petrol prices, so we'll say it again. You don't get to blame a war in the Middle East on petrol prices. At the same time, you're saying the previous government gets no credit for international world pandemic for where their issues were. You can't have it both ways, sorry, Nikki.
So I will not be taking a lecture from that party.
We recognise that things are tough. I mean, I'll just be sitting in my office at night sometimes, like 10:30, and just tapping away. Nicola storms in, starts going down the back of my couches. I'm like, Nicola, it's not that bad. But that's how bad we are, looking for a few pennies down the.
So it's not that bad, and then when it doesn't hit, he goes, it is that bad. In the same sentence, it's not that bad, it is that bad.
But that's how bad we are, looking for a few pennies down the back of the couch sometimes.
For an actual reflection of the tough economic times, benefit numbers out today show there are now more than 216,000 people on JobSeeker support, up nearly 20,000 compared to the same time last year. At the same time, the government is cracking down on beneficiaries who fail to meet their obligations to find work. In the 3 months to June, the Ministry of Social Development issued more than 13,000 sanctions, where a benefit is reduced as a penalty for failing to show up for a meeting, for example. That's up from over 10,000 sanctions during the same time last year.
We are expecting the labour market to start to show more signs of a turnaround later towards the end of this year, and hopefully that will start to ease the pressure on benefit numbers that we've seen.
The government will certainly hope so.
So there you go. That is David Seymour's audition for a stand-up routine. He's going to see how his life goes. That was the world's worst bomb on the joke he made about down the back of the couch. So where should we start, Tangi? Let's start with the local body hui today, the local body politics. What was it like? Give us your review. Give us your thoughts around what was said and what we can see coming from it.
Yeah, well, it was good to be there, and I was there with Labour leader Chris Hipkins. And just looking back at that clip, I think it's actually disgraceful what David Seymour, the way in which he treated the folk that were there. This was day 2 of that particular conference, and many may know actually that he seemed to deviate from what was his written and prepared speech. I think probably his advisors are hoping that he actually would have stuck to the script. And, Chewie, you were talking about reading the room. Clearly he can't do that because he went off script and went way beyond what people would expect him to do, I think. So what that indicates is that he and this government are simply looking to treat community representatives, the local council sector with an element of disdain. And look, Chris and I were in a different sort of room, but watching David Seymour's speech on the big screen, the feedback from people that we spoke to after that was not very positive at all, actually. And what we've heard as well, the Prime Minister didn't even bother to turn up. He zoomed in for a pre-record for about a minute and a half or something. The feedback that I heard from those that were there is that it would have been better if he just didn't even do that, because that really indicated that this was a government that is kind of not prepared to have that real sense of partnership. And that's what the sector is calling for. Yes, it's testy. It always is testy between central government and local government, but look, I spent 10 years in local government before I came to Parliament, and I've never really seen it this bad before.
The David Seymour situation, I don't know if it was an epiphany last night. I think we've said this before, but he really does seem to be operating like he thinks he's an opposition MP as opposed to the Deputy Prime Minister. It really does appear that he is, as Chewy said, only speaking to his base like he's in an election cycle as an opposition MP. We talk about a particular mayor down here in Dunedin who came in for an interview the last cycle, and it was obvious when you've got the reins of power, you have to be more careful with what you say, because what you say can do things like impact the stock market. So you have to, like an opposition MP can basically say whatever they want, however they want, and then once they become government, get held accountable. But in government, you are accountable, and the way he speaks and the way he's speaking, it seems that it shows a complete disrespect and an absolutely dismissive nature of his Prime Minister and the government, but also that, as Chewy said, he's only really speaking to his base, and he wants, as Chewy said, to have the headline on their YouTube channel, takes down the woke mayors of New Zealand. Are we seeing that? Is that a fair observation?
Well, let's not forget that David Seymour currently, unfortunately, is the Deputy Prime Minister. And from time to time, he's the acting Prime Minister. His behaviour, what he's saying, his rhetoric is not really indicating someone who's meant to be leading, a leader in the country. In that clip, what we heard was comments coming from the sidelines, clearly from folk who are unhappy with his trajectory and the comments that he was making. So this is someone who perhaps is finding the sort of definition of government a little bit difficult or different to what he was expecting. But at the same time, I think he is just trying to, play to his small band of supporters and not really caring about what it is that people are experiencing. People are doing it hard. The cost of living is a real thing. This is a government that campaigned and said they would make it better. They are making it worse. And David Seymour, as a Deputy Prime Minister, is complicit in that.
Speaking of making it worse, I recorded Craig Rennie's next podcast, which will be out tomorrow morning at 4 a.m, Locked Out with Craig Rennie, and he shows a graph tomorrow morning. He showed a graph last week, which was Treasury saying the downward turn of the economy at the moment. It's in negative growth at the moment, and it's had 2 more shifts in the last 7 days. So he shows the new graph, which is further down still. So that's the economy that this government's running at the moment. I wonder as well, Tangi, as someone who worked in local body and now was on a national scene, what is this government trying to do to local body? Because when they were in opposition, they seemed very keen to localise everything, Three Waters, all those things, the tertiary institutions. And now that they've become government, they are trying to localise some of those things, but when it comes to like finance and stuff around local body, they're trying to centralise them. What are they actually doing? What are they up to when it comes to local body government? What's their plan? Is there one? Can you see it?
Well, I think, what they're looking to do is basically blame local government for everything. We have a situation where this is basically a government that has a very different view of localism to what the Labour Party's view of localism is about. This is someone, or Prime Minister in Christopher Luxon, who talked about localism, but this is very, very different to what we expect. Localism is about communities making decisions, being empowered and supported as partners as part of that decision-making process. This is, I heard it described as by a few people as sort of like someone who is in an abusive relationship and is not prepared to kind of want to rectify that because they're afraid of what the consequences might be. Local councils need to be fair partners at the table, but this national government is basically making it more difficult by the day.
It sounds like, Tangi, what you're saying is we need to ask Mr. Luxon where Seymour touched him. Is that what you're saying officially? Just checking.
I'm not. All I'm saying is that the relationship that exists between the local government sector and the government right now is not where it should be.
Chewy, I do want to talk about the cost of living and that. Do you want to focus on anything to do with local body right now, Chewy?
Yeah, look, I noticed that I guess the overwhelming theme from this is the central government talking down to local body government, going, you guys can't run this. You keep on doing nice to haves without really defining what nice to haves are. Are they libraries, pools, cycle lanes, the arts, all of that sort of thing? And it seems to paint a pretty grey view of the function of local government, which is just bloody pick up the rubbish and that's it. Is that the sort of vibe that you picked up as well?
100%. So today, the government basically debated a bill that is seeking to change the whole focus of local government, to strip out the four well-beings, and to basically say, look, councils, you're going to be focusing on three things. You're going to focus on infrastructure, you're going to focus on public service, and you're going to focus on your regulatory functions. So things like events, economic development opportunities, new centres that might be open and the like, that sense of community facility, all of those things that we all live in a community because that's what we enjoy, not because we want to be part of just living in a sterile environment. That's all going to be placed at risk. And so you're right, Chewy, you know, this is a government that's saying we want you to get back to the basics. Well, we all know that councils are finding it difficult at the moment. They've been told to do X, Y, Z, and then some. And then at the same time, they're saying, well, we're not going to give you any tools in your toolkit to be able to actually deliver on that. And that's pretty disappointing, actually.
And I'm just going to come back to that idea about centralising. This government, be all the parties or two in particular, were very, very unhappy with words like mandates prior to the last election. Mandates was not a happy word. That was an overbearing, overpowering word. How can a government now, legally, legislatively, but also morally, say to a council, you have to cap your rates? What if that council needs more? What if it's somewhere like Gore and they need $300 million to do their three waters, which they have to find for themselves because this government cancelled it? I mean, how can a government sit there, talk about the overbearing last guys that came in and tried to tell everyone to do it their way, whilst they're telling these councils to do it their way, which may actually impact these cities and towns for decades to come if they become underfunded because they have to cap their rates?
Yeah, well, clearly this government can do that quite easily. They think they can do it quite easily. And what I'd also like to sort of hear from councils is a little bit of pushback saying, actually, don't treat us in this particular way. The water example that you give, Pat, is a really good one because, you know, what's happened is they've changed to this new water reform sort of structure and system. They're saying all of these councils must have their water delivery plans all done by early September. If you don't, then we're going to come in over the top of you with our Crown sort of intervention and Crown observers, whatever you might want to call them, to get things done. But also there are going to be some councils out there, there are councils that are going to be orphan councils because they're not going to have the element of choice about who they might want to go with because the other council might say, well, actually, we don't want to partner with you. So this is not helping with that whole regional collaboration. They say it's going to be a money saver, etc. We all know that the cost for water infrastructure in this country over a 30-year horizon is conservatively a minimum of about $185 billion. Now, the government doesn't tend to accept that because they're looking at the here and the now. But we all know that the key bits of infrastructure and assets that are water-based or water reliable need to be long-term, and it's placing councils in a really difficult situation. And as Chris Hipkins sort of described it today, it really is the government tying the hands behind the back when it comes to councils and the element of choice.
I find.
Sorry, Joe, you go.
I find this pervasive sort of rallying cry to cap rates to be really worrying. Because what we're seeing here is a reaction from rate increases from, in a lot of councils' cases, decades of underinvestment. And then, I guess, some hope that Three Waters was going to come and bail them out of what that had created, and now it's not coming. And I think in Dunedin's case, the example's really clear. if there was a rates cap and they couldn't raise rates to do all of this work, then they start looking at council-owned assets like the Aurora Lines Company, which some councillors down here already want to sell. It's literally selling the silverware, something that is bringing in money slowly, but if we sell it, then we just get a big cash injection and it's gone and we've lost a strategic asset. But there's lots of people that are looking at those things and going, why does a council own a lines company that supplies power to the city that the council is in? Head scratch. And I would imagine that this would be the case elsewhere in the country with strategically owned council assets being sold off because they can't bring in rates. Would that be a fair sort of assumption?
Yeah, I think it's a very fair assumption, because if you're saying as a government we're going to cap the maximum amount of money that you're going to be able to increase for households, and let's be blunt about this, the only real way that councils can generate their money or their revenue is through rates. You know, all the other sort of user pays, all that sort of stuff for rubbish bags or going to the swimming pool or what have you, if there's no subsidy, is not going to make up a huge percentage of the revenue for councils. Rates is the prime focus there. So if the government comes over the top and says, well, we're going to put a cap here and you can't go above, but you're still going to have to meet the costs of your footpaths, your roading, your wastewater, you know, all of this sort of stuff. Where are you going to get it from? And so councils will naturally turn to either increasing the fees and charges, and that's what Chris Hipkins talked about today in the rubbish example, or looking at what assets they hold, whether they consider strategic assets or not. You know, I'm the member for Palmerston North. The council here owns the airport. If the council here was under a rates cap and needed to get a little bit more revenue, that is a possibility. They might look to effectively sell off some shares in order to generate revenue. So that is a real risk and a can of worms that this government seemed to be prepared to open, basically, and it's just not good enough.
Anything else on local body, Chewy?
No, that's... actually, no, one thing. Was there, that being that this is day 2, and we're talking about councils should be responsible for infrastructure, was there any discussion about councils' role in social housing?
There are, on the sidelines and on the fringes of the conference, there are a whole range of conversations, and social housing would be part of that. I mean, you know, housing, this is a government that has basically stopped building houses. And I'm sick and tired of the rhetoric from this government. Every time they're asked and challenged on this, they talk about, well, you know, we've delivered X number of houses. The previous Labor government funded that stock. Yeah. This government have not built the houses or funded the houses that have been built. They are in the business of cutting. And, you know, Kieran McAnulty, our housing spokesperson, he visited Palmerston North. We've got barren bare land where homes were going to be built. Right? And sort of mirrors the only thing going building bollards.
We're starting to lose you a little bit on the internet there, Tangi, but I do want to throw one thing at you that maybe you could put into your caucus conversations. And it's to do with cost of living, and it's to do with our dairy product. I think I can say we, Chewy. We don't believe that there's such a thing as a self-made man or person, self-made person, because that person has had benefits of public dollars in New Zealand all through their life, whether it's the school they went to or the hospital they went into, or all these things that have been thanks to all of us contributing. Groups like Fonterra and stuff now still get a lot of benefit from the public dollar, whether, again, it's the schools their farmers' kids are in, it's the literal roads that they drive on to pick up their milk. And I just wonder if there is a way, and this is a little thing we came up with the other day, and it might be, the numbers might be off, but a big company once say it's selling more than 50% of its product offshore. So it's
95%.
That there could be some way, government, central government, restrictions put on for what they are allowed to charge for at home. We have invested in these companies through our taxes. I'm sure a lot of those farmers probably wrote off years where they had losses, and we as the taxpayers supported them. I think that's been an investment from the taxpayer. I would like to see some return of that directly on my price of cheese, as an example. Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really quite difficult to swallow the high prices, particularly in dairy. You know, you come from New Zealand, you're based in New Zealand. Dairy is a key part of our local economy and also our exporting economy as well. And so governments do have elements of choice around this. So there are many levers that they could pull. That could be one of them if you head down that path. But let's also remember that this is a government and Christopher Luxon who made it very clear that he was going to tackle and address the cost of living crisis. He has made things worse. And now we have Nicola Willis saying, well, I'm going to go and meet with, basically my former employer, Fonterra, next week and have a little bit of a chit-chat. If the government was serious about addressing the cost of living issues, they would have intervened much sooner than this. It's about choice. It's about levers that the government can pull. And really, the government have shown their colours by saying we would prefer to basically focus on property speculators and fossil fuel companies rather than actually help households who continue to do it tough right now.
Just coming back to what I asked as well, is that something that could happen? Can a government put levers on commerce in New Zealand to make things cheaper, to force things to be cheaper for a country? Is that something that could I mean, like you hear about rental freezes in places like America. Is that something that a government could do here in New Zealand?
Yeah, it could. I mean, there would be potentially some contractual obligations around trading contracts that had been agreed to, agreements that might be in place. But governments can always focus on issues, particularly when it's about protecting access to certain things. So, yep, that's always an option. It's not one that I personally have looked into, but it is one that is available nonetheless.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Tangi. We're going to talk next about David Seymour wanting to get rid of karakia. It's going to be 2 or 3 minutes. Would you like to stay in? Because you were there when he didn't do the speech. You're welcome to, or we could say good night now. What would you like to do?
Oh, no, I'll hang around for that one.
Okay. So this was the end of that same story on TV3. The reporter said that the press got an early copy of David Seymour's speech. And in the written word, it was him blaming karakia for costing too much and being too much of a distraction and being bureaucratical, so to speak. And then the reporter got a chance to ask David Seymour about that. So it's only 1:17, this clip. Let's have a look at it.
David Seymour had a speech prepared to deliver to the local government conference today, and media got a written copy of the speech beforehand. And it included comments about the Resource Management Act and how the government wants to streamline the consenting process. And in the written speech, Seymour took issue with karakia often being performed before work begins on a site. He's quoted saying the consenting process demands ceremonial chanting. Now, he didn't end up talking about karakia in his verbal speech because we're told he ended up ad-libbing. So I asked him about why he didn't say that when he got back to Parliament today. Why didn't you mention it, and what did you have to say about it?
There's no particular reason, but it's true. I don't expect a priest to show up every time I break wind.
What a prick.
Hey, mate, that was a mistake, Chewy. It would be a pretty good T-shirt. I don't expect a priest to turn up every time I break wind. I kind of do, actually, because they can be bad sometimes.
Well, they're probably visiting frequently because there's a lot of hot air that comes from him frequently too.
Why didn't you mention it, and what did you have to say about it?
There's no particular reason, but it's true. I don't expect a priest to show up every time I break wind. I don't expect a priest to show up every time I break ground on a new building, and I don't think that you need a kaumātua to come and say karakia either.
Now, there has been some pushback to Seymour's comments about karakia. Labour MP Penny Henare said, and I quote, "This tells me the Deputy Prime Minister clearly has no respect for Māori, but is happy to have a prayer that starts the daily sitting of Parliament."
There was a couple of comments from Mr. Peters on this as well. He doesn't know. Peters hits back at Seymour over karakia stance. Tensions within the coalition government have spilled further into public view this week, with Deputy Prime Minister David Seymour once again under fire, this time for comparing karakia to enforced spirituality and drawing parallels with abortion, prohibition and homosexuality bans. His comments prompted a hit back from New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters, who said he doesn't know what he is talking about. Seymour's remarks included in a written speech notes for his keynote at the local government New Zealand conference in Christchurch on Thursday morning, criticised the inclusion of karakia and tikanga requirements in resource consent process, particularly for large-scale projects like solar farms, supermarkets and housing developments. You and your ratepayers want renewable energy, but the consenting process demands ceremonial chanting and spreadsheet-level detail about every shrub on site. These two aims don't compute, Seymour's prepared speech said. One more paragraph. I don't expect a priest to show up every time I break ground on a new building. That's obviously in the written thing, so he had prepared that because this is a copy from the written, but break wind was what came out. On a new building, and I don't think you need a kaumatua to come and say karakia either, Seymour said. We're moving past imposing one person's spirituality on another. A lot of the arguments say the prohibition of abortion or even homosexuality were really spiritual beliefs imposed on another person. I'm saying the same thing with building stuff. Yeah.
What a dickhead.
I like that thing that they're saying, was it Maya Angelou, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. You can hear it in there. But anyway, Tangi, you are a MP, you sit in the House with them. I'd love your thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, look, not once has he ever stood up and said, I don't think we should have the parliamentary prayer. So my colleague Pena Henry is spot on. He's being very selective around this, and it's just appalling. It really is. Not once. He's been in Parliament much longer than I have, unfortunately, but not once has he got up and said, I've got an issue with, the parliamentary prayer. He's keen to speak up on other things, it seems, but no, this is just cheap pot shots.
Yeah, and look, I think we'll leave it there, Tangi, because your internet has got that massive lag on it again. So we'll say a huge thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you giving us some time, and we'll talk to you again super soon. So thanks for being a part of it, and we wish you all the best. And Chewy, I will throw the ball to you about Seymour now.
I hate having to say this every time. A lot of people know this. A lot of people don't. Karakia can be a prayer, and it can also not be a prayer. It doesn't have to be a religious thing. It's a focusing of the start of something. Like, we're all pulling in the same direction. We're going to start our day. We're going to start this project. All of that sort of stuff. It is a starting point.
Yeah.
Now, I'm as white as the pure driven snow, and I can understand this. Why does someone who whakapapa's Māori not understand this? This is madness.
Again, do you think perhaps he's talking to his base and no one else?
I do. Yeah. I do think he's talking to his base. I do think he's running his election campaign right fucking now. Yeah. His other stupid comments. Council shouldn't keep a spreadsheet level detail of every shrub. So we shouldn't keep track of what ratepayers' money is spent on?
Yeah. Detailed.
Like, these things cost money, right? Like, they buy the shrubs. You want to know that X amount of ratepayers' money has been spent on planting, that the ratepayers got what they paid for, and that the contractors that put them in worked to a plan. This is good governance. He seems to think it's useless frippery because he's not had anything to do with local government, nor does he respect the people that work in local government, because he's in big boy government, not sandpit local government. Why don't you listen to me? They want to stand candidates in local government elections, and it seems like all the aligned guys that are going for councils have just a sheer disdain for that and an absolute incomprehension of how it works, and that's why they stick out like dog's balls. Just basically look at who's running for your local council, identify the worst human on that list. That will be an ACT aligned councillor. Easy.
Do dogs' balls stick out?
If you let them.
I've got a bitch, so I wouldn't know. I don't know about dogs' balls at all. Just saying. There is a lot of super chats in there. Thank you for your super chats. We're not going to do them all now. We'll maybe do half of them now.
Oh, holy
half
shit.
of them after the. Yeah, we're not going to do them all now. We'll do half of them now and half of them after the next story. Kai Matara says, "Hey Labor, don't ignore the economic science. Implement a CGT, boost the health of the economy. Don't be anti-vaxxers. Unite against Coalition 23." Dresnort says Seymour's a wanker. Succinct and to the point. 15mm history. New Superman equals awesome. Go see. Full of hope. Very good. So that means
It's
you're
pissing off all the right people as well.
You're
So there's
confirming
another
it's
big
woke.
tick.
It's woke then. You're confirming it's woke because it's full of hope.
nonsense.
Yeah. Kai Matara says, a while ago you were talking about how your future looked uncertain and that you weren't sure if you could keep going. Great to see where you are now. Is that to us or is that to Tangi? No, we're not
No,
going
no,
to
that's to us.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Body Armour Fund for the next ACT conference. From Kiwi, JC says, MP Julianne Gent will be sharing the Green Budget Thursday, 24th July 2025, 6 p.m. at Tauranga Rowing Club, Devonport Road. Please check Discord for RSVP details. There you go. Happy to throw that out there. Tina says, go vegan. Not sure why, but very good. Support if you want to go vegan, go vegan.
Wow. Dairy and meat prices.
That's why. So I just sometimes when you're going back over the chat, you got to think, what were we talking about there? But yeah, that makes complete sense. Peter says, I introduced myself to Chippy and put in a plug for BHN this afternoon. You'll be pleased. He replied, that must schedule those good fellas again soon. Actually, I was going to message the PR people there and say, yeah, we could do Chippy tonight if you wanted to, but I didn't. We got Tangi, and Tangi's the official dude. We'll do this one as the last one. Oakley says, the butcher that supplies the pub I work at have had prices of meat go up roughly 58% in the last year. Holy mackerel. Probably for the mackerel, if you're a butcher. That'd be a fishmonger, wouldn't it? Do you know my reference to those kind of jobs is still asterisks? When I think fishmonger, I think asterisks. That's still where it all goes.
I thought this was an interesting wee graph.
Mm-hmm.
Like that climb in food prices, right, which had a really clear reason for why the entire world shit the bed.
Yeah.
And then that was really heavily tracking downwards through Labour International.
So what's that bottom? What's the bottom? What's the date there? Because I can't see it. Like, where is it above that 10?
So October 23rd, and then at its lowest, June 24.
Okay,
so that
a year
rise
ago.
there in a year.
Yeah, well, they said it's gone
that's
up
overall food prices.
Yeah.
Up and up and up and up. And,
that's interesting.
I think,
it's interesting because it's got down like that. So in other words, National continued what Labor started to get prices down, and now it's going up again. Or at least benefited
from it.
And you see, well, either way, but you can stuff everything up. Give them credit for continuing it. That's fine. The downstream started with Labor and National continued it. But then the question is, then it started going up again. How can you confidently blame Labor when you got it down after Labor started to get it down to a low price, and then after that it started going up again? I'm afraid you don't think you get the credit for that, because it would be like all my analogies are either sport or weight. Someone losing like 50 kilos, and then all of a sudden they start eating pies again and they put 10 kilos on. They were down at one stage, and to a certain point, and then they started putting it on. They're to blame for that. So these guys are putting on weight, and the weight comes in the form of food prices, and they're responsible for it. I'm sorry, you don't walk that one off. You don't walk that one off at all.
I just want a government, and to be honest, the government and an opposition that freely acknowledges what is in the power of central government and what is not.
Yeah.
And I think when we're talking about the increases in food prices specifically, yes, you can say that is in the hands, it's in the range of powers that government have. They could break up the supermarket duopoly. They could turn around to Fonterra and go, hey, you know how you sell 5% of what you make to New Zealanders. Well, we are demanding that you have a price cap, a price freeze.
Yeah.
To
so
this
that,
level.
Yeah.
It's,
so if the government,
it's barely going to touch your profits.
Yeah.
Because you freely acknowledge that. But the New Zealand taxpayer subsidises Fonterra to such a degree that the very least we can do is have cost price on dairy and meat and all of this sort of stuff. That is in your power, but you want to go, free market. We've got to have our hands off the wheel on the free market. But then when you look at the same thing happening for your opposition party when they were at the wheel, well, the free market doesn't come into it. It's 100% Labour's fault. And yes, it's politics, but fuck, it's dumb. And I hate that people believe it.
I'm just looking up price of a litre of petrol in Saudi Arabia.
I don't think you pay for it in Saudi Arabia.
But this is
the
thing.
You just go and dig a hole and it comes up.
So it's 50 US cents per litre. So that'd be like 90 New Zealand cents as opposed to $2.50. And why is it cheaper in Saudi Arabia, Chewy? Should we educate the people?
Because you just dig a hole in your backyard and it's there.
And you just get the bucket and you take it and just pour it into your car. Yeah. It's cheaper in Saudi Arabia and these places because that's where the fuel comes from. And they make their money off international sales. Fonterra, you're listening? The cows, New Zealand is where the cows come from. The road you drive on in New Zealand are paid for by all of us. The times that the businesses that make up Fonterra had to write off a loss for a year, we all paid for that. That comes out of all of our tax pool. So now you need to be like Saudi Arabia with their fuel. You need to provide to New Zealand. I'm not even saying it costs Chewy, but, at a reasonable expense, not because they've literally said, and ministers in this government have literally said, because this is what they can get for it internationally.
They've been really clear on that.
Yeah.
And look, do it and help ordinary New Zealanders out immediately, or don't do it and leave the door open for the opposition coalition to come in, cruise to an easy victory by promising $4 blocks of butter, $7 blocks of cheese. Because you should do it. You should do it. It's not going to kill Fonterra. They're going to take a hit on 5% of their production. They're not going to lose money on it. They're just going to lose some of the profit on it for the New Zealand market. That's it.
So let's just go through. This is New Zealand dollars now, a litre of petrol. Libya, 5 cents. Iran, 5 cents. Venezuela, 6 cents. Angola, 55 cents. Kuwait, 57 cents. Algeria, 60 cents. Egypt, 65 cents. Bahrain, 90 cents. I wonder what it says for New Zealand out of interest. $2. It's right down the 2 something. Look, I know it's not exactly the same, and they make trillions of dollars, and they basically use oil to make drag strips that they use once, and then they, it goes away. But the idea that for the home market where the product comes from, obviously to create a block of cheese that sells, that is from cows in Waikato that sells in Cambridge, is far cheaper for you to get that block of cheese to that supermarket than it is to get to London. So in theory, that should be far cheaper. And it's not, because international prices dictate. No. Greed dictates. Bahrain. And choices dictate. This is not like an uncontrollable thing. It's greed is what it is. Anyway, speaking of greed, actually, Chewy, probably roll into this next story. I don't know if TVNZ cover this tonight. I should be clear, I don't actually know. But shocking news around homeless numbers. It appears that this government is sitting on homeless numbers, homeless figures, because it's embarrassing to them. There is a report that's definitely come out about a month ago, and Minister Portaka has not released it, and they're all playing, but you can't really count that. How are we supposed to know? How do you count homeless? What? No, I don't know what's going on. And the
Every
allegation,
time we go looking for them, we can't find them at their homes.
you knock on their door and there's nobody there. It's because they haven't got a door. Yeah, so the accusation is these guys are sitting on a pretty embarrassing report around homelessness. Let's have a look. I was impressed with TV3 tonight. Can I just say this on the zone? Well done, TV3. You did a good show tonight. I normally don't really pay much attention, but I'll be doing it more so in the future.
The government is facing mounting pressure to come clean on the state of homelessness, with Labor accusing it of hiding the true scale of the crisis and whether it has grown under the Coalition's watch. Senior political reporter Bridie Whitten has the story.
Prime Minister Christopher Luxon in the House in April.
Is rough sleeping on the rise under his government?
Well, we don't have strong centralised data on homelessness, but what I'd say to the member is that it's really important that nothing has changed. People who need help with accommodation can come to MSD and get the support and the help they need.
So just in case anyone was listening, there was a no answer. That was about as much of a no answer as a Ray Chung apology as a no apology. It's about the same, about parallel there.
June.
Does he accept that homelessness in New Zealand is increasing?
What I accept is we've got more people into housing, and I think that's a really good thing.
A lack of clarity, Labor says the government won't be able to claim for much longer, accusing Tama Pōtaka of sitting on a briefing on homelessness, which is expected to show a dramatic increase.
Given that he is the only one.
Chewy, I know you do this a lot. You often congratulate Te Pāti Māori for the dress sense. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
we all know about Te Pāti Māori drip.
I mean, he should be driving a Range Rover with 2 Labradors in the back and his guns on the back seat looking for ducks. Honestly, that's the look, isn't it? It's pretty good.
If he had like the hunting jackets have like a leather pad on the shoulder, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Like he walks into Parliament with a break open shotgun over one shoulder and a bag full of ducks in the other. That would be expected.
All right.
He is the only one, alongside the Prime Minister and the Minister of Housing, that denying homelessness is going up. I'm not surprised he's pretty reluctant to release the report.
The 6-monthly report from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development will measure homelessness from September 2024, and he's had it for almost a month. The last report, released in December, suggested the problem was already getting worse. In Hamilton, the number of people sleeping rough doubled in a year, with more than half living in cars. In Wellington, frontline staff said they'd seen a 28% jump in people on the streets. And in Auckland, outreach teams reported a sharp rise in call-outs, more than doubling in just 3 months.
There are anecdotal reports that in various locations that homelessness, in terms of rough sleeping and living without shelter, has increased, but it also says it's unclear what's causing it.
Yeah, hang on. You've just said there's anecdotal research out there whilst you have the research. Because you're saying, there's anecdotal stuff that's being said. Sure, talking to Auckland about what Auckland's seeing is anecdotal, but you can't say that whilst you're sitting on the information. That's not anecdotal. So what are you trying to say, Minister? It's like, this is anecdotal, but what about the stuff in your top drawer?
You know what that says, Pat. If they had hard evidence that ran contrary to what those organisations were saying, they would fucking release it and go, we can show that it's not true.
Yeah.
But it matches what these organisations are saying, or it's fucking worse. That's why they're sitting on it. And you can't tell me that you can make all of these changes, that you can get rid of emergency housing. You make it harder to get into emergency housing. When you do get into emergency housing, you stay there for a shorter period of time. You can't say that you make all of these changes and you don't turbocharge people living on the streets.
All right. We'll keep going with Mr. McAnulty.
Everyone that I've met with, from the north to the south, that have said that in the past, if they were met with, say, a family in genuine need, they would be able to find emergency accommodation. Then almost overnight, the very same people at MSD said, no, we can't get you in.
More and more people have been turned away from emergency housing since the Ministry of Social Development set up a new denial category for those judged to have caused or contributed to their situation. Before then, about 9 in 10 applications were approved, but by May this dropped to about 65%.
Homelessness is not just about building a house and housing someone. There's a whole range of influencing factors, whether or not that's...
Can I just say one thing about Mr. Portaka?
You're going to say the same thing I'm going to. I guarantee it. Please,
He's got a
please.
fucking cross on his lapel.
Yes! Yes!
Isn't
there a passage in the Bible about being judged by how you treat the least of society?
If that is what my upbringing in the Catholic Church would represent as in a religious affiliations, the dude who hung on that cross, the stories say, was here for the widows and the orphans. The meek shall inherit the earth. The way you treat the least. When you visited me in prison, we never saw you in prison, JC. No, but when you visited the least, you visited me. Like, I've never seen that on him before, but fuck me, bro. Any churchies out there, he's stealing your labeling. You should have copyright over this. It's not a good example.
You know what I have seen on him before, Pat?
Yeah, I don't know. Big arsehole.
That look on his face. The oh shit. The scornless, stunned mullet look on his face as he tries to justify the unjustifiable. That seems to be his role. Unbelievable.
All right, here we go.
Mental health and well-being, sometimes cost of living and economic crisis, sometimes some real strong addiction issues.
But for those living in hardship, some of those factors are just getting tougher.
Yes.
Remember what I said yesterday. In my opinion, the sole job of government is to look after its citizens. Not some of them, not the chosen group, all of them. When I was a kid growing up, maybe this was a Timaru thing, you didn't have homeless people. Because they were all housed. This government has terminated thousands of homes. The buildings of developments right throughout the country has just shit-canned all of them. Everything that was in progress, everything that was planned, gone. It's kicked people out of emergency housing. It's made it harder to get into emergency housing. It's made it easier to kick tenants out. They go, oh, fuck it, I don't know how it's happened or even if it is happening. There's just no way to know. These guys are ghouls. They're incompetents. And they're just so mean. There's no need for this. Like, we've invented a new category to label whether these people have caused this themselves.
Yeah.
So what's the category? Mental health, addiction, which is the same thing. The fact that they aren't at their best. And we can't even give them something to help them get out of that situation. What society are we?
Well, we're not the society based on that thing he had on his lapel of looking after the least. I mean, this is the thing about people who believe or adhere to the religion. It's like actually the words or the teachings of the centerpiece of that religion, the Jesus figure, there's not many that would deny that they are, they're pretty awesome. I mean, like, you know, that's why people mix up so many of the quotes of Mahatma Gandhi for people like Jesus. Like there's many quotes out there that people attribute to Jesus and they're not, they're from other people, but it's because it's like, they're good. They're good. The teachings are good and they are about looking after the widows and the orphans. They are about the most vulnerable. They are about you Billy Big Boots, you better not we better take you down a peg or two. They are about, you got too much money, well, have fun on earth because there's nothing for you afterwards. I'm not even suggesting anyone should believe that, but this is what the stories are. This is what the teachings are. And it does actually, and I don't use this word very often, and I've got pretty thick skin for getting that, but it offends me. It offends me when someone claims that kind of faith in religion, whether it's non-verbal through a little pin or whether it's spoken. And I'm not saying this is poor Tucker, but just in general, they're homophobic, or they protest, vulnerable people or whatever. It's just, it's everything that the cornerfold teachings of that religion, if there was an impartation of a physical figure here today, would be disgusted by. When he was here, there was a thing that he pushed back against the church. Now the church pushes back against society. It's not how it's supposed to be. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
Po Tucker and Epstein, at every opportunity they've had, they've made things worse for the people at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when you make things worse? It doesn't get better. It doesn't fix anything. So we're still in the same place with the same fucking problems that we've had in the past. Every time a government has gotten and gone, you know what? Let's fuck on the poor.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They can't fight back. And look, let's be honest, they deserve it.
Yeah.
That seems to be the attitude. But I think the key thing here is, and we might throw something together here, Pat, because we talked about it very briefly at the top of the show. Let's illustrate what this government's about.
Transparency. Are they about transparency? Is that what they're about? That's what they told us about.
I remember election night as I watched in horror as Luxon ascended the stage and said a couple of things which, in hindsight, may not have been true. But I remember
didn't
him
age well.
saying,
Are you saying they didn't age well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there was two things, like Fonterra milk left in the sun. He said two things. He was going to lead a government for all New Zealanders.
Yep.
All. And he also said he was going to lead the most transparent government we have ever had. So we've had story number one about, no, you don't get to know how many homeless people there are. We don't want you to know because it's bad. How about this? Charter schools told to keep enrollment numbers secret.
How does this work? Like, who has told them to keep it secret? Because obviously that's not going to happen. People within the charter school system will say, or someone will stand outside our school and count their kids as they go in. It's not going to be difficult.
That'll get you put on a watch list.
But this is not going to be kept a secret. So who was stupid enough to even suggest that they should keep it a secret?
Well, it's already leaked, right? 7 charter schools set up at the start of the year have been told to keep their enrolment secret by the Charter School Agency. The organisation that manages charter school contracts and funding told RNZ it was not appropriate to share information about the roles of the publicly funded private schools. The Charter School Agency does not intend to release the numbers of students currently enrolled at each individual school during the crucial establishment phase, as this could undermine their commercial position and their efforts to build their role and deliver quality education.
But it's so stupid because, like, okay, so let's do this phone call, right? Chewy, you're the school, I'm the parent. Bring. And
Hello.
you say, hello. Hi, I'm very interested in finding out more about your school. My kid coming along. My kid's has a unique way of learning. What's your kind of average school classroom size? What kind of ratio do you have teacher to student? Done.
Well,
You're
first
finished.
of all, how very dare you? Never call me again.
But you know what I mean? It's impossible. Because a parent, I would ask that question. A journalist will ask that question. What you got 4 classrooms? Oh, what's the average size? Boom, done. It's ridiculous. It's what moron thought that they could get this past?
So this is because they don't want people to go, X amount of pupils plus
$14 million
funding amount, right? And that means this much per student. This is very poor value for money. Like that. I mean, maybe this is what Luxon meant. it's a very transparent thing that they're trying to do by
Transparently
not
bad.
being transparent about this.
Yeah.
Like this is bad. And then, because it's all happened on the same day, Pat. Have you got the link that I put in the private chat?
I can get it.
Because you've got the, I assume you've got Herald Premium because you're the big news guy.
I did used to have it. Let's see if I've still got it. You can keep talking.
But yeah, look, this is the whole thing: is these promises that we've had at every stage of this government, everything that Luxon has said, everything that Seymour said, everything that Winston said, is basically a bald-faced lie. So now we've got this story where I assume in the sense of full transparency, they are not going to tell us how many people that go on these youth boot camps go on to reoffend. Because we've known that up until now, it's around 80%. And that is inconvenient because it paints a story that these boot camps don't fucking work, which is not what the government wants.
Oranga Tamariki will not publish the scale of reoffending during any future military-style academy programs, as the agency laments the harm caused by releasing information early in its boot camp pilot. Yeah, the harm to Christopher Luxon doesn't harm the children. The children don't get identified. It harms the government. So you're correct, Oranga Tamariki, that there is a harm there, but it's not to the kids. It's to the government who got told over and over and over and over and over again this wouldn't work, and they still did it. And guess what? It didn't work. Oranga Tamariki, the agency leading the pilot, initially confirmed several of the 10 participants had reoffended before reversing its position and refusing to respond to further reports, citing the harm the teenagers aged 15 to 18 had suffered under the spotlight as critics deemed the pilot a failure. What a load of bullshit.
How does that work? The harm to the people that were... was it like fucking Love Island? Did we know who they were?
No, because what happened was the morning that the kid got home, they got out their NBR and they was like, Mater and Peter, I see that they're talking about us. I follow the news so very, very well, and it seems that my ego has taken a smiting because I'm reading here in the... Of course they don't know. Oh, these kids wouldn't know. They wouldn't care. Like, they're not going to be checking in. They're not going to be listening to Newstalk fucking ZB to hear the reporting. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Wouldn't you say, if you were trying to gauge the successfulness of this project, that the rate of reoffending by people that complete it would be a core part of it? Is it, again, wouldn't that be, if it was something that worked, wouldn't that be something the government would be broadcasting from the top of every tall building and tree and mountain in this country, that they were right and we were wrong, and it's actually really successful and it's churning out model citizens? No. So they're concealing it from us. They don't want the press to know. So therefore, we must make the assumption and fill in the gap in the information to go, you don't want that information out there because it is harmful to what you're trying to sell us. You're trying to sell us that the boot camp program works despite all evidence here and overseas in the past, all of that sort of thing. No, actually it does work. We can't show you how it works or why it works. It just works. You just have to trust me, bro. All the public money that we're giving to private schools, actually that's really good as well. Really good return on investment. Lots of people taking advantage of it. It's actually really economical. You'd like to see proof of that? Well, no, because it's commercially sensitive, so you're just going to have to trust me, bro.
I get
you see more homeless people in your city centre? Well, actually, you're mistaken. There's no evidence that there are homeless people at all. Trust me, bro.
I just get the sense that this weekend I may be spending a bit of time in the studio editing a collage together of Luxon talking about the importance of outcomes. Because that's all we got pre-election. outcomes. It's all about outcomes. We want to know the outcomes. No. Sorry, can't know that.
Get his victory speech from election night.
I'll look for it.
It is a goldmine retrospective of how much of a fucking failure that man is as a leader, a prime minister, and apparently a Christian.
All right, let's get into some more of these super chats. Thank you so much for your super chats, team. The anti-competition exemptions in the law for Fonterra should be repealed and the Commerce Commission empowered to break it up if necessary. Yeah, so go in and threaten to break it up unless they start working to a cost plus 10% or something like that. Like I'm not even saying cost, but you know, or as someone was saying in the chat when I was talking about fuel in the Middle East, apparently that's subsidised by the government. Okay, so how about you let them keep making their profits, but it's subsidised so it comes from the pool. I don't like that idea as much because we're still paying for it and we're still giving. That'd be fun.
We can't make them squeal. They don't, like, it's an unpleasant noise when these corporations squeal. We did it to Telecom one day, and it's very unpleasant, and we've never brought out that hammer ever again, even though we should.
Kiwi Bird says, I'm glad Seymour went off script. He looked dumber. Yeah, it's not wrong. Dresnort, Seymour destroys 5.2 million New Zealanders. Wooming, Seymour is drunk on power and blinded by his own arrogance. I wonder why Seymour doesn't talk to us anymore, Chewy. I don't know why I wonder that.
Has he ever talked to us?
Yeah, once. I mean, we told him why
people
thought he was
jacket,
racist.
And I'll go find him.
When we told him why people thought he was racist, it was at that point he decided not to come back. Kai Martara says, Luxon, you always want sympathy for your position as PM, but people can't walk a mile in your place because you made sure they can't afford your shoes. Vanda, a more late fee again. Arvids, this is talking about the karakia and the priest. Arvids just says because it's not the priest's land.
Very good point.
Wooming,
it's not religion, it's culture.
Yeah. Wooming, we must be so over the repetitive nature of this reminder, but Seymour is the worst person in the world. Dresnot Fonterra
was right.
Yeah. And that should be the new tagline, and Jacinda was right. We could just have a t-shirt saying Jacinda was right. That would annoy a lot of people. Fonterra is a machine that converts our fresh water into the lowest value dairy commodity possible. Arvids again, the homeless file. Silver Taniwha, Chewy, you forgot to mention his gumboots left at the front door of the beehive. Old Kieran. And Annie says, Kieran could wear anything. It's the bedroom eyes that have it.
Oh, Annie, don't make me get the hose out again.
Just so you all know, when Emily used to talk kindly of, what do you call him? Heidi McNulty?
We made him blush.
And we asked him if he knew, and he said yes. So here you go.
And he blushed.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And then when Emily had seen that we'd told him, she was furious for about 10 seconds, and then she was fine. We've got a couple more stories now, team. This one, though, because this actually would flow out of that kind of religious conversation, because apparently if you're following that religion, Israel cannot do any wrong, including today launching an attack on Syria. Now, I've had a good look around, and Al Jazeera caught the actual impact of the explosions. It's graphic in that you know what's happening. It's not graphic in that you don't see any bodies or anything like that. But it's just so you know, it's a very clear example of a building or two being taken apart by an airstrike by Israel into a country they're not at war with. I'll just put it that way.
A massive Israeli strike has targeted the Syrian Defense Ministry in the capital, Damascus. Here's the moment of explosion that sent smoke billowing into the sky.
It's terrifying. Check it out. One there. One there. You can hear the jets in the background.
Another strike then hit right near the presidential palace. Israel had earlier threatened to increase attacks if Syrian government forces are not withdrawn from the south of the country. Israel says the strikes are to protect the Druze community living in the Syrian city of Aswaida.
So it's to protect them in a city, I think they said it's in the south of Syria, and what they did is they dropped missiles, I think it was Damascus, in and around the main, the capital. So Israel.
So they've gone, Syria, withdraw forces from part of your own country.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
And guess who's chastising Israel? Guess what big powers, what Western countries are chastising Israel? Oh, none.
No one.
It's another day.
This will be, we are talking about the Israel that is the stable,
the only
Western
democracy in the Middle East, Chewie, the only democracy.
Yeah, the only stable Western outpost in the endlessly chaotic and war-torn Middle East.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's
hell.
Israeli democracy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That big explosion at the back, there's only one thing that's a bunker buster.
It's gone all the way
through that building. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. So look, is this something? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too far down in my own echo chamber. And look, I'm not looking to make changes in my echo chamber in Israel, but is there a swing away from the, like, you know, they're doing a genocide. They've attacked Lebanon, Syria, and Iran in the last year and a half. Like, at what point do we acknowledge the fact that Israel is the drunk arsehole in the pub that keeps starting fights?
Mm. Sorry.
Oh, we've just lost Facebook, have we?
Might have just lost Facebook. But we're still good on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook or you've just lost us, we might have just lost Facebook, but that's okay. We Zuckerberg's finally figured out who we are, and he's come.
Zucked us.
As soon as
it's
you
Mossad.
It's as soon as you see echo chamber.
It's Mossad. That's you can't not be in an echo chamber. You're using a Meta product.
Okay, so we'll leave that there. I'm just looking at that, make sure we don't get dropped anywhere else. We haven't been dropped. It hasn't been like, oh gosh, unless it has, unless Meta just saw us sharing that explosion and they dropped off. I guess that's a possibility. Yeah, it could be. All right. Well, then let's jump from the frying pan into the fire and wrap up the show with talking about the latest news on Donald Trump. This is an ITV report, and it's quite a good summary at the moment. We've been talking about this for a couple of days about how Mr. Trump is losing part of his base. ITV did quite a good rap on what's going on at the moment.
I thought you were going to say part of his brain.
Well, there's none there to lose, but let's have a look what's happening in America from the ITV, looking at what's happening to Donald Trump and his supporters.
This is all going in the trash. I do not support Trump anymore.
The MAGA mutiny is gathering pace.
You know, I once supported Trump, but this is what I think of him now.
All because of the disgraced financier and paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who died in a New York prison cell 6 years ago. Rumours and conspiracy theories about his alleged client list have exploded into a full-blown crisis for the White House. For years, many Americans have believed that Washington elites are covering up a dark secret about their involvement with Epstein and his trafficking of underage sex workers. They had trusted that Trump would reveal it all, as he had repeatedly promised to do.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Despite once partying with Epstein, Trump is denying that he's on any alleged client list, insisting there is nothing meaningful to release.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work.
And he urged his own followers.
You still got to think about that. If it's done by the Democrats, so the Democrats had this information about Trump, they've written the thing, and then they've sat on it and not released it. So you have to believe if it's by the Democrats, which we don't obviously, but if it is by the Democrats, they've then made up this whole thing. They've then written up a whole dossier. So he says it's written by them. So he's actually acknowledging there are files. And But the Democrats have then gone, oh, well, we won't release it. We won't release it to embarrass you. We'll just not. And the other thing, and I think we said this last night, if it's all made up and bullshit from the Democrats, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison? If the president of the United States is using video, and in that video they can find out from looking at the metadata that it's actually fake and it's from two different videos, and the president is saying that this is from Epstein and it's fake, then why isn't she going, there's no evidence? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't have it both ways. Either it's true and you have this person in prison, or it's not, and you don't. Madness. Anyway,
move on from there. Just as an aside there, remember last time I pointed out how much they're gilding the Oval Office?
Yeah, they've more gilded it.
It's even more so now.
Yeah. I can't imagine what, and there's reports coming out as to how cheap and tacky the gold is. It's not gold, and it's not spray paint, but it's something in between. And I just can't. It'll be a story on CNN, whoever the next president is, unless it's a Republican, because would never go past, never push Trump down. But if it's a Democrat, it'll all be gone, and there'll be a story about how it's all gone, and there'll be a story about the quality of it, and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll find out.
Session.
It's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone, and all it is certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook.
No longer would the elites play by their own rules.
Trump is now being accused of siding with the enemy.
And right now, many in MAGA are wondering why it appears that the president is helping the deep state conceal the Epstein scandal.
Right-wing media demanding that Trump levels with his supporters.
The MAGA base either needs the full story or a damn good reason why they can't have it.
I have 3 of my MAGA hats here today, and we're going to burn them.
That has fueled open contempt for the president from some of his former loyalists.
Democrats are, of course, relishing this moment, delighted that a president who so often deals in unfounded rumors is himself now being consumed by one of the most powerful conspiracy theories of recent years.
Yes, there you go, Cho. So a bit of an update for everyone. Apparently, if you're a MAGA and you believe it, you're now stupid. So he is not only pushing back against the rest of the world, but now the people who voted for him as well. Can I just say as well, yeah, I saw your note there, Chewy. Al Jazeera blocked the video. So we were just zapped by Al Jazeera on Facebook, which sucks because we will then challenge it and we will win and it'll get re-uploaded. So it sucks for the people on Facebook. Hopefully you came across here. You saw most of the show though, and I don't think it's actually gone off the Facebook page. It's just been stopped. I think it's still there. Anywho, yeah, Trump. Any thoughts, Chewy, before we wrap up for the night?
Yes, the Americans are existing in the stupidest timeline possible. This thing of Americans thinking a boycott is setting fire to something that they've already paid for is hilarious. Like they always go, yeah, I'm getting rid of all of my Bud Light. I'm setting fire to my Nikes. I'm barbecuing my Trump hat. You already paid him for it, you idiots.
That was the classic line from NWA. When all the conservative Christian Americans bought all these albums only to burn them, the band was like, well, they paid for them. They can do whatever they want with them. We support their money. Yep. So, yeah.
Like, if that transitions into something more active, like them doing something and turning on them, sure. Good. But I'm sorry, if you set fire to some merch that you bought and then you go, well, that showed him, I uploaded it on the TikToks. Job done. Back to the couch. It's not going to do anything. He does not know that you exist.
No, he doesn't care. But I guess what it does do is it's one less dusty white toothless Gap yokel wearing that red hat. So in some way, it diminishes the aura of Trump. You know, there's fewer of those hats out there going to be worn down to your local blooming Quickie Mart to get your big gulp.
Show me
American thing.
Show me one of these MAGA chuds going out into their driveway and setting fire to their lifted F-150 covered in flags and "Let's Go Brandon" stickers, and we'll talk. That's more of a commitment to the cause.
That would be the next step. You would think. I agree with you. If we were to see that,
Now I have to take the 80 flags I have on the back of my pickup truck off.
A big thanks for tonight to Tangi Utakiri. Huge thanks to Al Jazeera for zapping our Facebook feed. You know, you're brilliant people. We're not gonna use you guys anymore. You guys suck. Let's get to a couple of these super chats before we wrap up. Since David Seymour wants to be foreign minister, let's send him there. There you go. Kaimatara says, mate, probably mate. Sorry, mate.
Oh,
Kiti IDF, mate.
We like that.
Kiti IDF. I've got it. And he said mate. I got it in the end. Wow, very late feast. Hang on. No! You got to do it properly.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I couldn't do it into the mic. I didn't do it off in the background. He's eating the lists. He's eating the files. That's very funny. It's very funny. I like that. Peter says, can we talk about Trump's effed up ankles? Oh, I don't want to talk about any part of his body. It's just, but Trump has an ego. He's online more than us.
Is he watching Fox?
Yeah, I think
like if Fox turned on him on this, I think he'll definitely notice. Half of his political appointments are Fox hosts, for fuck's sake.
Megyn Kelly had an interesting conversation with his name's jumped out of my head. Facts don't care about your feelings. That dude, Jewish commentator, Daily Wire, that guy, and
Shapiro.
he went. Ben Shapiro. He went. I can name my sources. I'll name my sources, and he named the President of the United States, he named J.D. Vance, he named, I think, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And she just went, do you honestly think that me not naming my high-level sources and you naming them means that you win this debate? Like, she actually pushed back quite hard. She's an absolute terrible human being, but she pushed back quite hard in that moment. And, of course, the obvious thing is, if this is a cover-up, you're citing the people who want to cover it up. So, yay you. But anyway. A huge thanks to all of our patrons. I know I haven't given you enough love this week. We will give you some love over the weekend. Actually, I was thinking about doing a meetup. Maybe it's too late to say that. Maybe I'll try anyway. Maybe we'll do a meetup on Sunday, whānau, and then we'll have a chat about what's happening for the next kind of few months. Or we'll do a meet. I'll put out a meetup for the patrons on Saturday morning. I know that it's late notice, but I have been thinking about it. Haven't got around to it. If you want to be a part of that meeting, then you can be a part of us by heading to patreon.com/Big Hairy News, where you get a bunch of things. There is merch to win and be given away there. There's early access to conversations and interviews when we do pre-records, and there's more coming. We're doing a total redesign on the Patreon stuff and what you guys are eligible for. Also, as a reminder, I've got a couple of deliveries in Dunedin tomorrow, actually. A couple of Dunedin purchases over the last wee while. I'll be heading out in the car and dropping those off. The merch store is open, bhnshop.nz. There's also going to be changes coming to the shop, which we'll tell you about in the next few weeks, but bhnshop.nz. And remember as well, the website is up and running. I've already seen some people have sent us some test emails. Testing. Yep, I can see that. This comes along with a new email address as well, which is mail@bhn.nz. Now, please don't worry about emailing us about the website, about some things that might not be working. So I'll just tell you, for example, Discord, we need to get a widget. If anyone knows Politikiwi needs to contact me, because Politikiwi set up our Discord. I don't have access to being able to access the widget. Only the person who set it up does. So if Politikiwi is out there, or you know Politikiwi, I need to hear from them. So if you go to Discord now, there's kind of nothing there. So I don't need you to all message me saying, oh, the Discord link's not working. Like, this is version 1.0 that we got, thankfully, up very, very quickly, thanks to Yoan, who did it for us. And in a couple of weeks' time, we will start updating it and doing more with it as well. So
are we going to have a page that just includes memes that we've stolen?
Oh, God, we might have to do that. Oh, it's going to have a Discord, though, isn't it? So yeah. So everybody good? Everybody good. BHN.nz if you want to have. There's not much to look at, but if you want to go and look at it, we'll be adding things like memberships, and you can sign up for the mail outs, and we'll be having a blog there and a bunch of things on the way. But for now, it's live, it's working, and the email is working. And if now you want to send anybody, this is the thing: if you want to tell anyone how to watch us, you can just tell them to go to bhn.nz, and they can go like that, and then they can go like that, and then you've found us. Easy.
Hey Pat, every now and then someone just summons some real evil into the chat.
Oh, cool.
Pat and Chewy plushies when?
Oh.
Why would you want that? Why would you want that?
BH
oh.
Win? Is that what they're saying? BH win.
Yeah, BH win.
I sort of already am built like a plushie, and if you poke me in just the right place, I giggle. So
that's true. I've seen it happen.
You've done it, baby cakes. The other thing about that, I know for years, probably literally, people have been requesting mugs and that kind of stuff. It's all on the way. It's all on the way. I am in the process of talking to someone about doing some editing for us, and once that part of Pat's life gets freed up, a lot of other things will start to happen. So I think that's us for now. I think, Chewy, that's us for now. Is there anything else you want to put out there? You're going to say go the All Blacks? Is that what you're going to say? Is it what you?
Oh, you know, absolutely. That's 100% what I was going to. Oh fuck, have I lost it? Quick, Pat. Fill for time.
I can see a chat there. Someone saying they want beanies. Like this. Beanies. Those ones.
Oh, I want be. Oh, are they the test ones, or have you actually got them done now?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got these done through a Chinese distributor, and they're just, basically we could do these. They're just heat pressed, and I don't like them. They have to be, they really do have to be woven, I think. So maybe I'll give these away. Someone in the chat, maybe I'll give these away. We've got a brown Pat and Chewy, BHN. We've got a grey Tino.
I want the Pat and Chewy one.
Okay, done. We've got a Nikki. We've got the OG. Don't you want to wear that one? You should give that to your missus. That would be hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, so Chewy's taken 40% of our stock, Fano.
Yeah, there you go. That's how it happens. You've got to be into one. Look, this is something for our Dunedin-based Whānau.
What's happening?
Remove ad. There is a fundraising gig on the 27th here in Dunedin at Eric's venue. Voices for Palestine benefit fundraisers of poetry, comedy, and music. There is quite a good lineup, and friend of the show, Aaron Hawkins, is the MP, is the MC for the evening.
Oh, slip of the mouth, slip of the mind, MP.
Wow, it's confirmed he's running. So yes, Sunday the 27th. You can find out about it on Facebook if you search Voices for Palestine, or Dunedin Comedy also has it listed as well. So yeah, if you're in town and you're wondering what to do on a Sunday in a couple of weeks' time, you should do that.
Yeah, sounds good. Where is it again?
See, you can Eric's venue.
Okay.
It's where the brewery New used to be. It's now an entertainment venue.
Not a brewery at all? Not a new brewery?
There's not a brewery. See, look, there's Aaron Hawkins. He's just there.
He's gorgeous.
We've got this person here who I actually don't recognise. Liz Breslin.
Hi, Liz. Nice to see you.
And there'll be other people announced on that shortly.
Are you going to do it? You doing something?
I was asked, but I declined. I am too
we do something?
rusty. I'm too rusty.
We could do something. Should we do something?
I could reach out and see if they've got space if you want to do something. Or we could just go.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Can we get Jacinda with rights stickers? Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I thought about something to do with, over the weekend, make something to do was like a priest turns up every time I fart, every time I break wind.
And then a picture, and then like a goofy picture of Seymour on it. Which that's the hard bit because there's so many goofy pictures of him.
I think, I don't know. I was going to say, I think that Emily might be back tomorrow night. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure what the going-ons are going to be on Friday night. Some people here doing some fun things.
I can tease something about that. Somebody took a very unflattering screenshot of the bish at the local government thing, and they have been memeing the shit out of it on Discord. It's phenomenal. So I assume that that's going to be an anchor piece of their show tomorrow.
That's like an hour of the show, is it?
I have had to restrain myself from pillaging those memes to put on tonight, but Magenta would kill me.
All right, team. Thanks for being with us this week. We will catch you next Monday night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. The kids will be in tomorrow. Whoever that is, I don't know. I don't even have control over this anymore. It just happens. Thanks for being with us, and thanks to Tangi coming along as well. It was a good night.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. We better push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work at what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a war path to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by both Chewy and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
All right, guys. Thank you for being with us tonight. I got nothing else really for Chewy. See you for the weekend. Over and out.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Chewy?
No, go and do something that improves the lives of people around you. That's your homework.
Gosh, look at you. All right, team. We'll catch you Monday night for the next edition, with us at least, of Big Hairy News. Check out the kids tomorrow night for what they've got up to. Hooroo, everyone. Hooroo.
Cheers, fam.